Ulysses matched with an aged wife I meet and told unequal loss unto a savage race that hurt and sleep and feed and no, not me. I cannot rest from travel. I will drink life to the less. All times I have enjoyed greatly, have supered greatly, both with those that loved me and alone on shore. And when through scouting drafts the raining Yades vexed the dim sea, I am becoming for always with a hungry heart, myself not least but honor of them all, and drink delight of battle with my peers. For on the ringing plains of windy through, I am a part of all that I have met, yet all experience is an arch way through. To roast and brownies, not to sign in use as though this is my son, mine own telenejas, to whom I leave the script and the easel, well loved me descending to fulfill. Unknown yet all well known to the eye of faith. Ah, I have heard that will far away. Therefore I fain would consecrate Ele to thy honor, pre-beloved of those who now in blessed sleep, for I repose dear than life to me always. Where are they with deathless trees like those in Brodel, and time the shadow and throw weak the birds that would they beauty fan who fan rearrange. They would they beauty fan often oblivion's course. The tree reminds her of childhood friends and memories. The tree has changed with time. She dislikes the trees in the present. The tree, the poet friends dislike the tree. Both A and R true, and R is the correct explanation of A. night train at Devli. When I was at college, I asked to spend my summer vacation in Dehra at my grandmother's place. I would leave the plains early in May and return late in July. Devli was a small station about 30 miles from there. It marked the beginning of the heavy jungles of the Indian Terrain. The train would reach Devli at about 5 in the morning. When the station would be dimly lit with electric bulbs and oil lamps, and the jungle across the railway tracks would platform an office for the master and a waiting room. The platform boasted a tea stall, a fruit vendor, and a few stray dogs, not much else, because the train stopped there for only 10 minutes before rushing on into the forest. Why it stopped at Devli, I do not know. Nothing ever happened there. Nobody got off the train and nobody got in. There were never my colleagues on the platform, but the train would halt there a full 10 minutes and then a bell would sound. The guard would blow his whistle, and presently Devli would be left behind and forgotten. I used to wonder what happened in Devli behind the station walls. I always felt sorry for that lonely little platform and for the place that nobody wanted to visit. I was 18 visiting my grandmother, and the night train stopped at Devli. A girl came down the platform selling basket. It was a cold morning, and the girl had a shovel thrown across her shoulders. Her feet were bare and her clothes were old, but she was a young girl walking gracefully and with dignity. When she came to my window, she stopped. She saw that I was looking at her intently, but at first she pretended not to notice. Obvious, not to notice. She had a plain skin set off by shiny black hair and dark travel eyes, and then those eyes, searching and eloquent, met mine. She stood by my window for some time, and neither for us said anything. But when she moved on, I found myself leaving my seat and going to the carriage door and stood waiting on the platform looking the other way. I walked across to the tea stall. A kettle was boiling over on a small fire, but the owner of the stall was busy serving tea somewhere on the train. The girl followed me behind the stall. Do you want to buy a basket? She asked. They are very strong, made of the finest camp. No, I said, I do not want to a basket. We stood looking at each other for what seemed a very long time, and she said, Are you sure you do not want a basket? বন্ধুরা কমেন্ট করো, আমি রিপ্লাই দেওয়ার চেষ্টা করব। তো কমেন্ট করো, আমি রিপ্লাই দেওয়ার চেষ্টা করব। All right, give me one, I said, and I took the one on top and gave her a rupee, hardly daring to touch her fingers. As she was about to speak, the guard blew his whistle. She said something, but it was lost in the clenching of the bell and the hissing of the engine. I had to run back to my compartment. The carriage shuddered and jolted forward. I watched hard as the platform slipped away. She was alone on the platform and she did not move, but she was looking at me and smiling, smiling, smiling. I watched her until the signal box came to the way, and then the jungle hit the station, but I could still see her standing there alone. I sat up awake for the rest of the journey. I could not rid my mind of the picture of the girl's face and her dark smoldering eyes. But when I reached there, the accident became blurred and distant, for there were other things to occupy my mind. It was only when I was making the return journey 2 months later that I remembered the girl. I was looking out for her as the train drew into the station, and I felt an unexpected thrill when I saw her walking up the platform. I sprang off the footboard and waved to her. But when I reached there, the accident became blurred. I remembered the girl. I was looking out for the as the train drew into the station, and felt unexpected thrill when I saw her walking up the platform. I sprang off the footboard and waved to her. I when she when she saw me, she smiled. She was pleased that I remembered her. I was pleased that she remembered me. We were both pleased, and it was almost like a meeting of old friends. She did not go down the length of the train selling basket, but came straight to the tea stall. Her dark eyes were suddenly filled with light. We said nothing for some time, but we could not have been more eloquent. I felt the impulse to put her on the train there and then and take her away with me. I could not bear the thought I having to watch her recede into the distance. Of Devli station, I took the basket, her hand, and put them down on the ground. She put out her hand for one of them, but I caught her hand and held it. I have to go to Delhi, I said. So nodded. I do not have to go anywhere. The guard blew his whistle for the train to leave, and how I hated the guard for doing that. I was nervous and anxious as the train drew into Devli because I was wondering what I should say to the girl and what I should do. I was determined that I would not stand it helplessly, become hardly able to speak or do anything about my feelings. The train came to Devli and I looked up and down the platform, but I could not see the girl anywhere. I opened the door and stepped off the footboard. I was deeply disappointed and overcome by a sense of foreboding. I felt I had to do something, and so I ran up to the station master and said, "Do you know the girl who used to sell baskets here?" No, I do not. But I paced up and down the platform and started over the railing at the station yard. All I saw was a mango tree and a dusty road leading into the jungle. Where did the road go? The train was moving out of the station, and I had to run up the speed and rush the forest. I sat brooding in front of the window. Responsibility never felt before, and once again I had to run for the train. যদি ভালো লাগে বন্ধুরা, তাহলে একটা লাইক, একটা কমেন্ট, শেয়ার আর সেভ করতে ভুলো না। আর এরকম নিত্য নতুন ভিডিও পেতে গেলে সাবস্ক্রাইব করতে ভুলবে না যেন। তাহলে টাটা।